Today, we're going to dive into the Bible and explore 10 verses that speak about resting in the Lord. These verses emphasize both the promise of rest for believers and the warning against unbelief and disobedience, which can prevent entering that rest. 1. From the very beginning, God established the idea of rest. Genesis 2:2-3 tells us that after completing the work of creation, by the seventh day God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. This rest was not just physical. It was a symbol of the peace and completion that comes from God's perfect work. 2. God's rest is not only about physical rest, but also spiritual. It became a promise to his people, as shown in Exodus 33-14, where God assured Moses, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." 3. However, there were consequences for unbelief. When Israel rebelled against God, they were warned about missing out on this divine rest. Psalm 95-11 echoes God's warning, "So I declared on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest." The promise of rest was still there, but disobedience kept them from entering it. 4. The author of Hebrews picks up this warning in Hebrews 3:11, quoting Psalm 95, "So I declared on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest." This was a solemn reminder that God's rest was not automatic, it required faith and obedience. 5. Even so, the opportunity to enter God's rest remains open for believers today. Hebrews 4:1 emphasizes this hope. Therefore, since the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be found to have fallen short of it. The rest that God offers is not only for Israel in the past, but for all who trust in him. 6. For those who believe, God provides a deep, eternal rest. As Hebrews 4:3 declares, "Now we who have believed enter that rest." It is a rest that reflects God's own rest after creation. God's work was finished, and believers are invited to enter into that same sense of completion and peace. 7. Hebrews 4:6 reminds us, "Therefore, since it still remains for some to enter that rest, and since those who formerly had the good news proclaimed to them did not go in because of their disobedience." 8. Hebrews 4:9-10 describes this rest. There remains, then, a Sabbath-rest for the people of God. For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their works, just as God did from his. 9. Jesus himself extends this invitation. In Matthew 11:28, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." True rest is found in Jesus, who calls us to lay down our burdens and find peace in him. 10. Finally, the promise of rest is tied to repentance and trust in God. Isaiah 30-15 declares, "In repentance and rest is your salvation, in quietness and trust is your strength, but you would have none of it." Trusting in his strength and surrendering our lives to his will. Thanks for watching. Take care and see you next time.